Hey everybody and welcome to the Not Fancy League. I am Rob and I am without Tyler this week. We work different schedules, so it's just me this week going through our league and everything that happens. Tyler did record a couple of things. He has an MVP, an L, and he did make picks, so we're still going to be able to keep our picks competition going even without him this week. So let's just jump right into our standings update. The very first thing I want to get into was we have no more winless teams. Everybody in the league officially has a win. Both Money Manziel and Tortoise Lips were able to get their first wins this week. So really big stuff from both of those teams to finally be moving in the right direction. And then I also want to point out now that we have 6 teams over 500. So there are 6 teams really at this point in this playoff race. So it's really tight at the top in both of these divisions. And there's kind of a clear separation between a top 6 and a bottom 4. And let's put out our points champion right now. It is Just Two Justins. They're starting to pull away a little bit, scoring more points than everybody else in the league. And the Alamo continues to get scored on a clip that no one else is. They are getting scored against a ton every single week. So if the playoffs started today, these are the 4 teams that are in. It is Van Dorn versus Z Steezy and Team Velocity playing the Munchettes. So those are the 4 teams that are in right now. But let's move into our MVP of the week. Tyler, you can go ahead and go first.
When you go to MVP of the week, there's not many contenders than Mr. Jamar Chase himself. People are trying to come for him, sending me some trades this week. But when you drop 52 points, he is not leaving my roster. That's my MVP of the week.
But I'm going to go mine. I kind of have a couple of MVPs that I want to bring attention to. I was going to go DJ Moore just because he was absolutely stellar this week. He dropped 49 points, 3 touchdowns. But I'm actually going to pivot, and I'm going to go with the Jared Goff, Sam Howell quarterback combination. They combined to go over 50 points, so we're a big reason why Tortoise Lips was able to get their very first win this week and squeak out a win, as I'll say, against Pound Cake to move to 1-4. So really good stuff from both of those quarterbacks. Instrumental in that victory for Tortoise Lips. Moving on to our L of the week, I'm going to go ahead and go first. I'm going to go Devontae Smith. And for the Munchettes this week, his whole kind of team laid a dud, but the biggest one of all was Devontae Smith, 1.6 points. He didn't do anything. It seems like Jalen Hurts is sort of force-feeding the ball to A.J. Brown now after he asked to get the ball more, and it just kind of left Devontae Smith out to the side. So he's just not getting the targets or the looks he was before. We'll see if that continues. But really tough outing here this week for Devontae Smith. And let's move on to Tyler's L of the week here.
Thanks, Rob. In my L of the week, I have no one else but Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, him only getting 2 points is a rough look. I mean, the whole Patriots is just a rough sight. Mac Jones, the whole team. It's a tough one, but,
That was fantastic, Tyler. Thank you so much. All right, so moving into our benching of the week. And this was a tough one. There's not a lot that you can do about this. I don't really know what I would have done if I was in this person's situation. But it was starting Jonathan Taylor and benching Zach Moss. And this is a really tough spot. I don't know which of those running backs is worth more. The fact that the Alamo has both of them, I think that's a benefit because clearly it's a fantasy relevant position. But we'll have to see how that situation kind of shakes up. He did pick the wrong guy this week, leaving Zach Moss and his 33 points there on the bench. So let's move into our games now here in Week 5. Let's start with Bird Up versus Team Blasi. This was one of our games of the week going into it, and this game did not really live up to the hype. Both of these teams scored not that many points. Specifically, Bird Up goes under 100 points. The whole team kind of laid an egg, as you will say, and it's just not really that good from really their perspective. They could have done a lot better. From Team Blasi's side, Jalen Hurts and Travis Etienne were pretty much the entire team. Both those guys are pretty good, and I guess A.J. Brown, also fantasy relevant this week. He had a very good week against the Rams. Moving on to Tortoise Lips versus Pound Cake, and this was actually our most fun game of the week. This came all the way down to the very end, and it came down to a Patrick Taylor start with his 2.7 points were just enough to push Tortoise Lips over the edge against Pound Cake. He originally had Aaron Jones in there, but he was ruled out during that Monday night game, so his options were very limited about what to do in that situation. He was down 0.1 points, so basically he just needed a catch or 2 yards to win the game. So he moves on to 1-4. And a really big L this week for Team Pound Cake as Justin Jefferson moves on to the IR. We aren't totally sure how long he's going to be out for, but he's really the engine that drives this Pound Cake team, and he's not really doing that much this week. Moving on to Team Toman versus the Alamo. And Team Toman, finally had that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow stack start to work out for them. Jamar Chase drops 52, Joe Burrow drops almost 25, and that was kind of their entire team. They originally had a couple of guys on bye that were going into this game, so he did end up starting Jimmy Garoppolo and a couple other guys that weren't that good. I believe it was Michael Gallup, but he was able to get enough points to beat the Alamo here, who are really in a weird spot. Like, their running backs produce great in a season where running backs aren't producing, but it just wasn't enough from the rest of his team to really get a win here. 145 from Team Tillman's pretty good. It's hard to compete with 52 points from Jamar Chase. So now moving on to Money Manziel versus Ground and Pound Town, and I'm all the way back. Ground and Pound Town, Z Sneezy put up 151 points and still lost. DJ Moore is really good, as we found out. And let's guess who the number one tight end is in fantasy football. That's right, it's Sam Laporta. He's looking amazing so far. I feel really, really good about having him on my team going forward. The rookie number one tight end, I feel very, very good about that. And let's just give a quick moment to shout out Brock Purdy. He's currently the number 7 fantasy quarterback, and he really didn't have that many expectations going into this year. Is he even really going to be good? Is he going to keep that job? Clearly, it's his job. He threw 4 touchdowns this week, dismantled a good Dallas defense. So big shout out to Brock Purdy. As for Ground and Pound Town, I think you have a running back issue. So King Henry and Jalen Warren were your 2 starters this week. They didn't really do anything that good. And looking at your bench, it's Delvin Cook, Gus Edwards, Tyler Algier.Maybe you need an injury or two to happen to get some of those guys completely fantasy relevant. But right now, your running backs are just okay, and that might end up holding you back late in the season. So we'll see if he makes a move there with those running backs. And let's move on to Just Two Justins versus the Munchets. And this was another game of the week that we had going into the week, and it once again did not live up to the billing. The Munchets get handed their first loss, drop 111 points. Pretty much just Josh Allen goes off. Nobody else really did anything on the entire Munchets team. And then for Just Two Justins, the team performed, even though he had a lot of buys this week. McCaffrey had a down week with only 13 points. He had to start Zach Wilson, but it was just certain guys stepped up this week. It was Kelsey, it was Waller, it was Drake London. These guys that don't normally produce for the team did, and as always not as always, but the last 2 weeks, Justin Fields has been performing at a very, very high fantasy football level, and he actually got a real win in real life. So there is my recap of all the games we've had so far this week. And let's move into our egg bets. So this is the standings update. Tyler and I both went 2-3 last week, so he's sitting at 12-8, and I'm sitting at 10-10. So not a good week for either of us there in week 5. But week 6, I have hopes that things are going to get better. Tyler has a pick for all of these games. I'm going to go ahead and let him go first for all of these, so you'll see Tyler, and then you'll see me. So here's Tyler's pick in Team Blasi versus Team Tillman.
All right, time to do rapid fire. Probably not in the same order of Robert. Egg bet league predictions. Let's get this. What we have here right now, we have Blasi versus Team Tillman. It's gonna be an absolute nail biter, but I'm going with myself. Team Tillman gets the dub, going to 4-2 on the season.
And he brings up some points there that he's got a good team, but I'm gonna go with Team Blasi here. I think that they have a very, very talented team. Those receivers are really, really good. We'll see if the Jets are able to slow down that Eagles stack that he has. But my focus goes to Travis Etienne. He had a really, really good game last week. He's playing the Indianapolis defense. Does he continue to build on his good performance he had last week? So look out for Travis Etienne and a win there for Team Blasi.
Bird Up versus the Alamo. Who's going to be this one? I'm going to have to go Bird Up. The new name change didn't help him last week, but it's going to get another dub this week.
Tyler went ahead and went with Bird Up. I'm going to go with Bird Up as well. They were pretty bad last week. I don't think they're going to be as bad this week. I think Mahomes is a big Thursday night game, and Saquon Barkley might be back. We'll see. We'll see if that actually has any fantasy relevance. But I think that it's going to be Bird Up this week.
Just Two Justins versus Tortolips. That's a hard one, but you know what? I feel an upset right here. Tortolips will get the win, get themselves a second win, giving the Two Justins the second loss.
Tyler's picking the upset there. I don't know why he's picking the upset there. It's Just Two Justins. Like I said, I don't think he's losing the rest of the year. I think he's got the best team right now. He's a little bit of an older team, but man, there's so many good players on this team. I think he's in a good spot. I just don't see Tortolips pulling this one out.
And we finally got the Pound Cake versus the co-host Money Manziel. 2 1-4 teams, not very good. And I'm going to go Money Manziel. Gets his second win. Way to go.
And I've been playing very well lately. I've been top 3 in scoring 2 of the last 3 weeks. Pound Cake has been kind of spiraling a little bit. He just lost Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to go ahead and go with myself. But yeah, we're both going to go ahead and ride with myself there. Moving on to the game of the week, we got the Munchets versus Ground and Pound Town. And this is 2 teams that are near the top in their division. They are both currently in the playoffs. And it is currently split 50-50 on who Sleeper thinks is going to win this game.
The Munchets versus Ground and Pound. I'm never backing against the Munchets. Them all the way. Them to win the league. There's your picks. I'm hitting them all.
Tyler went with the Munchets. I'm going to go with Ground and Pound Town. I think that they bounced back pretty well. The Munchets laid a dud last week, and I don't know if it was necessarily because of the players. I think that there's a couple of guys in here that aren't going to bounce back. And I think that Josh Allen might struggle on Sunday night a little bit. Kind of look out for that. I think he's got to come back down to earth a little bit. He's been playing really, really well, but I think that he is a mediocre game. I think that he doesn't put up the 3 or 4 touchdowns that he normally does. And watch out for Amari DeMercado. I think he's going to have a really, really big day for the Cardinals. He's projected 9. I think he goes over that. And then this Tyreek Hill Cooper Kupp combo. Cooper Kupp looks pretty good in his return. On that first drive, at least he had, 6 catches or 6 targets, something crazy like that. So I'm going to ride there with Ground and Pound Town. So there you go. There was your Week 5 update, Week 6 preview. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was just me. I was talking quickly. Just kind of wanted to get through and get the information out to all of you guys. If you have any comments, anything you wanted to say, any responses to any questions, or any questions you wanted to pose to Tyler or I, please comment them down below. Thank you so much for joining us. And then I'll thank you.